You are live.
All right. Thank you, Mary. Good evening, North Penn. Welcome to the April edition of the ECI committee meeting. We're going to call this meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. I am going to chair the meeting this evening as Dr. G is unable to attend. So, Mr. McBain, can I get approval or a motion to approve the minutes from the March meeting?
So moved.
I will second the motion. All those in favor say aye. All right, motion is approved. All right, so we have a number of items tonight, so I'm not going to blather on much longer here. We're going to get right to, I suppose, our informational items to start. Hand it over to Dr. Waters. Dr.
Yes.
Dr. Waters, welcome.
All right. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Tonight we have a lot of information to share with you, and my curriculum friends are joining me this evening, along with one of our coaches, Melinda Lyon, and one of our assistant principals, Kenny Boy, soon to be doctor. All right, so we're going to kick it off with our friend, Dr. Hart, who is going to talk a little bit about the curriculum review process, and then we're going to move into some other presentations that are also curriculum related. So, Dr. Hart. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Dr. Waters. Good evening, everyone. I'm really happy to be here this evening. Each April, members of the curriculum team come to this ECI meeting to make recommendations for adoptions for various curricular areas. And so we thought it would be really helpful this evening if we took a little bit of time to provide the context and the curriculum review process that we go through so that you can kind of contextualize where this particular meeting fits into the larger cycle. So Mary, if you wouldn't mind just kind of putting up those slides, that would be great. All right, terrific. So if you'll go to the next slide, please. So before I really jump into the actual process, I want to take just a moment or two, talk a little bit about some of the philosophical framework that we use to kind of guide our work. You can see in this particular quote from Heidi Hayes Jacobs that really we're not just focusing on what we teach, but how we're teaching and making sure that every student in North Penn has a meaningful and relevant experience both in the content and in the instructional experiences that they have. Next slide, please. As we think about the purpose of the curriculum review process, there are five. The first is that we want to make sure that we remain aligned with state and national standards. We want to make sure that we're constantly reflecting on and taking a deep dive into current practices, research to make sure that the choices that we're making are the most relevant and the best ones that we're able to do as well. We always are thinking about our diverse learners. We have 13,000 students in our schools, and we have some young children who come with foundational skills, some who are waiting to come to school to develop those skills. We have other students who have documented needs and others have documented strengths. And as we think about our multilingual learners and just the wide range of experiences that students bring to the classroom, we want to make sure that the choices that we make sure that learning is accessible to them. We are also very mindful of the fiscal responsibility that we have during the curriculum review process, and we are always looking for opportunities to work collaboratively with various stakeholders to really kind of engage in a really dynamic process of reviewing where we are, thinking about what we're able to do better, and constantly improve curriculum. And so for the next couple of minutes, I'm going to take kind of the purpose of the curriculum review process and kind of take a little bit of a deeper dive as we think about the curriculum review cycle. So if you wouldn't just mind going to the next slide, that would be great. So just our curriculum review cycle, as you can see, we have phases. It's really kind of it pairs with years as well. It really starts with our very first year to really kind of assess our needs. What are things that we're doing well? What does the data suggest? Our areas of strength and maybe some areas of needed growth. We spend some time, once again, taking a dive into research, looking at best practices, seeing what other districts are doing as well to kind of serve as a frame for the work that we will engage in. The second year is really the curriculum development year. We spend time writing curriculum. We also think about the resources that we will be using and making sure that the wide range of students with whom we are working are able to have their needs met in a really authentic and meaningful way. Third year is really the implementation year. And in the fourth year, we really spend some time once we've implemented curriculum, we have an opportunity to assess what went well, where are some areas of needed growth, are there any things that we want to do a little bit differently moving forward to revise, to monitor and get a little bit better. And that you'll see in our years 4, 5, and 6, it was a constant process of reflection and review. Even though the cycle really says that fourth year is the first year of our revision and kind of taking stock of where we are, I've been really so proud of our team who's actually, even in the very first year of implementation, constantly getting feedback, constantly revising the process so that we can make sure that the experiences for our colleagues and students can be as robust as possible from the very beginning. Next slide, please. So we start this process with research and needs assessment, really with the guiding question of what are our current strengths and our gaps. We look at current research, we think about the standards and any current trends in education as well. We spend a lot of time getting feedback from stakeholders and teachers, and we look at data as well. Sometimes that's through surveys, sometimes it's through focus groups as well, but that information is really, really important for us to be able to say this is what we're doing well and we want to hold on to it, and what are some areas that we really want to take a deeper dive and make sure that we're doing even better and more intentionally moving forward. And the use of great research and looking at best practices is the integral part of that process. So once we've done that, we move to phase 2, which is really the curriculum development, which is really thinking about the alignment of curriculum. I said, I think in the very beginning, this idea of being really grounded and using the frames of our state and national academic standards, as well as 21st century skills of critical thinking, collaboration, and the integration of technology. We want to make sure that we really do engage in a collaborative process with teachers, administrators, students, families, some of our content experts, just to kind of think about where we are and with this framework, what are some things that we want to be doing as we're moving forward. Having diverse perspectives from various members of our school community are really, really important in ensuring that all of our students' needs are met when we go through this process. And as I said before, our educators play a very important role in that feedback, as well as the development of curriculum as well. Next slide. So once we've gone through that process, in most instances, we're looking for resources that are aligned with our goals and really do tap into the areas of strength and the areas of need that we want to be focusing on. We are really mindful today in the role that technology plays in that adoption process. Online platforms are an integral part of almost every resource, and we work very closely with our tech department to make sure that our current platform is really aligned with things that we're looking for as well. I talked a little while ago about this idea of making sure that all of our students' needs are addressed in resource selection. And so that notion of like an equitable practice and student-centered needs is an integral part of that as well. Once we kind of go through the process of looking on the resources and we feel pretty good about some recommendations, we spend a lot of time collaborating with the business office because some of the adoptions are quite expensive, and we want to be really mindful of the timing of some of those adoptions as well. Then we come for the approval process after after our committee makes a recommendation, and this is where that process begins here at our ECI meeting, and we'll be actually engaging in that work just a little bit later this evening. And then finally, once we have approval, then we go through with not just the resources, but the implementation plan, and then we start to set up what our plan will be for actual implementation. So next slide, please. The guiding question for implementation is, how do we best support our educators to successfully implement the new curriculum and meet our students' needs? The professional development, ongoing feedback, really leveraging our content experts and our learning coaches, really leveraging the professional development time that we have are really an integral part of ensuring that the implementation can be as smooth as possible. We have, in some instances, piloted programs. It's not something that we do every single time we go through the curriculum review process, but those opportunities that we have to kind of get our feet wet, to get an idea of what the curriculum might be, to be able to kind of get some feedback from staff who will be using it is incredibly important. Next slide, please. So that fourth phase, or that fourth year, is really the assessment of our implementation. And so we think about things such as the fidelity of implementation, right? The degree in which we were able to kind of like go through the instructional practices and use those resources in the ways in which they were intended to make sure that students are really getting the experiences that we want for them to have and making really great progress as well. There's a constant commitment to really thinking about the formal assessments that are offered and sort of how students are doing. And then there's informal assessment as well. We are constantly making revisions and adjustments as we go through. I think the most recent large-scale curriculum review process went through our K-6 ELA program that Nina Fenstermaker, who's actually on this meet this evening, has facilitated along with coaches and the curriculum review team. And that idea of getting feedback has been an integral part of the process from the very beginning. So whether it's focus groups, curriculum review teams, surveys, as we're moving through, just to make sure that we have great feedback and we can make the most informed decisions moving forward. And so this year, of kind of the fourth year and kind of moving on, we're constantly looking at ways to really refine our practices to make sure the goals that we have set are actually being attained. Next slide, please. So I wanted to take just a moment to present a snapshot of the curriculum review cycle over the past few years. We know that COVID kind of happened in the beginning of this time, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. This is not an exhaustive list of all of the areas in elementary school where we've gone through curriculum review. You'll notice that special area classes are not here, but I just wanted to kind of give you an opportunity to kind of take a look at the work that's been done over the past couple of years and what we are working on and what we will be focusing on in the near future. If you want to use the next slide, we'll shift to secondary as well. Once again, just a snapshot. There are many, many areas that we could focus on, but we would probably have like 6 or 7 additional slides, but just for you to get a snapshot of kind of the areas of focus. And you'll definitely see in this particular slide, just the constant review, particularly in world languages, and the addition of courses and the impact that that has as well. And the final slide really focuses on STEM. And you can see here just where some of the curriculum review has taken place. And I know Melinda's going to talk a little bit later on in this presentation on just some of the recommendations that are being offered in the area of math as well. You will see the STEEL standards and the implementation in both our elementary and secondary areas. So we have a K-12 adoption that'll be taking place this coming year, doing some of the legwork this year, and we'll be able to talk about that in the years to come as well. Next slide. And so you'll see, and I've talked a little bit about this already, just the monitoring that takes place, the idea of thinking about qualitative and quantitative data, the constant review of student performances, as well as getting feedback informally and formally with coaching groups, as well as focus groups, observation, just ways in which we're able to constantly assess instructional practices, and then also balance that with how students are doing as well. Next slide, please. One of the things I wanted to kind of highlight before I ended my presentation was just the recognition that have been some challenges and considerations that we've had to face over the past couple of years as a result of COVID, because of sort of the events that took place in the 1920 school year. It kind of got us off cycle just a little bit, and we've needed to kind of continue the work, but in a much more truncated process than we had anticipated. Which has really resulted in the out of cycle curriculum review that we've been in. So if you go back and look at the slides from a little while ago, you can see that although the goal is to stagger the curriculum review process, you will see that we're kind of one content area right on the heels of another, just because the 6 years have kind of come to a quick end. Contracts have ended, and we know there's best practices that we want to make sure that we're implementing, and that's gotten a little bit tighter than we would have anticipated. And that has also kind of led into some of our struggles regarding the time for professional development and the time for the focus to really be in one particular content area for an extended period of time, particularly at the elementary school. We have a number of areas of focus as a school district, and sometimes those competing priorities, all very, very important, really have kind of impacted the level of professional development and attention that we've been able to give, particularly at the elementary school. The team and teachers and administrators have worked really creatively to try to find time to do work in lots of different ways, but it has been something that we've had to think very creatively about, and at times can be really challenging as well. I think one of the things that's important to keep in mind as we think about some of our own initiatives is that there's always a new standard or requirement that the state of Pennsylvania has recommended that we need to kind of implement as well. But for example, personal finance is one of those courses which will be amazing and really important for our students, but something that we want to kind of take into consideration in context with everything else that we're doing. I think the final thing that I would say that sometimes is a challenge, and we've definitely seen this in the elementary curriculum review processes, is that as we're looking at research and we're looking at best practices, there are some new philosophical frameworks that have really kind of guided our work. And so it's not just about new content, but also like a new way of thinking about the work. And so additional support and professional development has been really needed and important in order for teachers to feel really comfortable and confident in the implementation of the new resources, and just making sure that we're able to meet students' needs as well. So even though there's some challenges and some considerations, I think the team has done a really amazing job over the past couple of years facilitating a really robust process, and we've seen some really amazing things happen for our students as a result. So having said that, I think the next slide is questions and comments, and I'd be very happy to entertain them. Rachel Early, Melinda Lyon, as well as Nina Fenstermaker, who are all on this call this evening, have played a really important role in the curriculum review process. And so if there's an answer that I may not be able to give, I'm sure they'll be able to help out.
So I have to apologize because I was having some technical difficulties through a good bit of the presentation. So I'm going to hold off on my questions until I've had a better chance to sort of peruse through the document, the presentation. Although I have very familiar at this point with this curriculum review process. The district has been extraordinarily transparent about the way that this works, and has on a number of occasions offered up the entire department to address questions and concerns. So I thank you for that. I think the presentation, but at this point I am good to go.
Yes, and I just am very glad that, as you can see from that presentation, our processes have processes. We are nothing if not thorough, so thank you for that.
My pleasure. Dr. Waters, do we want to transition to, since we're talking about curriculum review process and the curriculum adoptions, do we want to kind of transition to that presentation?
You know what, we're going to move in. I'm sorry, because I realized Christian is having some difficulty, so I'll just keep it going. Next
I think
up,
I fixed it. I think I've got it.
You're good?
I think
Okay.
so. Hope so. We'll
Well,
see.
so yeah, so next up was the RFPs, which is curriculum related. If it's okay, we can move there and then we'll,
Absolutely.
okay. All right. So let me just get these up. All right. So when Dr. Hart was presenting, she did talk about some resources that we obviously use in curriculum. So the first one that I wanted to mention tonight is there was an RFP conducted to search for supplemental digital science resources for students, and they are to enhance learning. Those resources are aligned to the STEEL standards, which she did reference, and you'll hear more about a little later. They will be engaging for students, and so the recommendation is that we go with Generation Genius and Mystery Science, which is Discovery Ed. This is software that is engaging, standards aligned supplemental resource. It does enhance science instruction in K through 6. And this is done through videos, hands-on activities, and inquiry-based learning. The other RFP that I want to mention tonight is the library management system. So as part of our ongoing efforts to ensure that we are providing resources for our educational community, there was a request for proposal, otherwise known as an RFP, done for a library management system. After thorough evaluation and careful consideration, we actually are going to continue the partnership that we currently have with vendor Follett. The reason that we are staying with them is because they have updated their features and system enhancements. The data migration, there has been some data around that, and they are able to kind of help us out with some of the challenges that other places might have in that area with using their platform. It is ADA compliant and accessible, and that's really important for our students to be able to use that. And then it's just, it works well for our teachers and students as well. So if we were to move to a new system, there'd have to be a lot of PD and training. Everyone already kind of knows this system really well. And again, with these updates, it just made sense to stay with Follett. So those are the two RFPs, and we are recommending that they're moved to the action meeting.
I agree. That sounds like that makes sense. I mean, we certainly do throw a lot of new stuff at our teachers frequently. So some familiarity with something with few updates sounds like it'd be a welcomed addition. So can I have a motion to move this to action?
So moved.
All right, I'll second it. All in favor, say aye. All right, this passes unanimously. Thank you.
All right.
All right, so now we want to do the curriculum adoptions, or
Sure, we can do student travel at the end, or there's actually only one tonight, so it's up to you.
whatever's easiest for the group. Certainly everybody doesn't have to stay on for student travel, so if we can move the meeting along and let some of our attendees move on with their evening, I say we go.
Sounds good. All right, so curriculum adoptions is up next. And again, I'm going to throw it back to my curriculum friends who are joining us this evening to share with you some of the things they'd like to recommend for next school year.
Thank you, Dr. Waters. As I referenced just a little while ago, we come to ECI every April to make recommendations for a variety of different curriculum adoptions. And I'm delighted to be joined with a couple of colleagues this evening, Rachel Early, who's a supervisor for secondary humanities, and Melinda Lyon, who is a secondary learning coach focusing on math. And she is here in place of Donna Dome, who's a secondary STEM supervisor. So we'll go right to the next slide, please. We always want to start kind of with the philosophical framework, in which really guides all the work that we engage in, and is something that really serves as a foundation for the choices that we make. We recognize that the materials that we choose, the resources that we have, we want to make sure are really high quality, and that every student who's engaging with those texts really have really meaningful experiences. We want to also make sure that there is incredible student access and engagement, and that there's some common experiences that all of our students have, regardless of the class that they're taking or the school in which they attend. Next slide. So I'm going to turn it over to Melinda. I'm delighted that she's here this evening to talk a little bit about some recommendations in the area of math.
Good evening, everybody. I'm happy to be here to talk about our curriculum process for the Algebra 2 curriculum. We started the curriculum review process for our Algebra 2 courses in the 23-24 school year. As Pam, Dr. Hart mentioned, that year was just a needs assessment, and we continued throughout this year with more of the curriculum writing. We had a small committee of teachers who reviewed goals of the math department, looked at standards, piloted resources, and started to develop the curriculum frameworks. We have been working on creating new curriculum frameworks to be implemented in the 25-26 school year for our Algebra 2 classes. This process started with us by looking at Pennsylvania high school math standards, the SAT eligible content, and the Common Core standards for Algebra 2 to ensure we had a well-rounded curriculum that would prepare our students for their future and allowed enough time for students to grasp the material being presented. With all of this being said, the committee is recommending this resource, the Algebra 2 Concepts and Connections Math and You series. It's 2025 from Cengage or Big Ideas. This resource was piloted in both the middle school and high school Algebra 2 classes by 4 different teachers this year for about one or 2 chapters. You can go to the next slide. So our 3 main goals that our committee kind of came to was to make sure that we had alignment to the standards. So as we discussed, making sure we are closely looking at not only the PA standards, but the SAT eligible content and the Common Core standards. We wanted to make sure we incorporate real world and career applications within our curriculum because we felt like that was kind of lacking with our previous resource. And we wanted to make sure we included more of a focus on statistics and data science because this is a math content that is really needed in all sorts of occupations and for the futures of our students. Some of the key features of this resource that we thought helped us achieve these goals was that each chapter features a specific career focus, which helps students see how the math content relates to the jobs in the real world. Includes a video along with introducing the career. It also includes a strong statistics component, which analyzes real life data related to the field of study that the students analyze and answer questions about. The resource also applies chapter concepts and performance tasks at the end of each chapter. Other key features of the text is that there's an online student experience, which provides lesson content, practice, and videos for support. Our teachers were also really impressed with a Calc Chat and Calc View features that this resource provides. It aids students when they're working kind of out of school on materials. Calc View provides instructor videos for specific problems in the textbook that students can answer and access and kind of work through to support comprehension and the understanding of concepts. And then Calc Chat shows worked out solutions videos and has a live virtual tutor support for each for some of the selected exercises in the getting ready, practice, and chapter review materials throughout the text. Other areas of student support within the resource is the Read Speaker, which provides a multi-language audio in 30 different languages, a multi-language glossary available in 16 languages. It highlights key terminology as well. There's also tiered intervention supports, which are available for all of the chapters and lessons. Our Algebra 2 teachers are excited to enhance our Algebra 2 curriculum by relating concepts to the real world and providing additional supports within this new resource.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Or do we want to ask?
Yeah, actually,
questions
if you don't
now?
mind, maybe we'll just do it this
Yeah.
way. Is that good?
Yeah, I was just about to ask.
Yeah, so first of all, I think it's great that it has an emphasis on statistics. I realize that there's a lot of statistic questions on the SAT. And with our math sequence, it's math that typically a lot of students maybe take, right? So I think that that's great to see that statistics is emphasized in this curriculum. I'm wondering if you could just give me an example of like a performance task that the the curriculum asks of students? I'm curious about that element.
Yeah, no problem. So each chapter, like I said, has a basically a career. So it kind of gives, in the beginning of the chapter, students would be introduced to this career. That they would watch a video as a class and kind of see a person that actually is in that career. It kind of explains kind of intros, certain math concepts that they'll be learning within the chapter. Then what happens is, as students, there's like a little bit of like a graph or something like that that students would answer questions about or kind of notice and wonder, kind of to start off the chapter with. As they're learning throughout, there's some key connections within each of the lessons that kind of go back to the career and makes that connections for students. But then at the end, there's a performance task that goes directly related to the career. So for example, one of them would be something with a graph or kind of interpreting real data from that job. And students kind of have to apply what they know or what they learned throughout that chapter to that real world data, or kind of make inferences based on the graphs or create a graph based on the data that they're being provided. So that's just kind of one example.
It's an interesting dynamic, the tie between careers that use the math. There's always that question, when am I ever going to use this, right? And like, this curriculum has an answer to that, so well done. Okay.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Tonight I will be discussing some resources for the Secondary English Language Development Program, as well as Secondary Social Studies, some AP Advanced Placement resources. And just as a frame for everything I'll be discussing, committees were formed for each one of these areas. We utilize needs assessments. We utilize an instructional materials evaluation tool to evaluate all of our resources. And for those titles that we'll be talking about tonight that are part of our AP program, we did utilize recommendations that are supported by College Board. So just a little bit of a frame, and then we will go to the next slide and talk a little bit about secondary English language development. So, like I said, we had a curriculum review committee that was able to include all of our secondary English language development teachers, as it's a smaller department. So we were fortunate enough to do that. And we were selecting resources for both English and reading. So in English language development, we have ELD English levels 1 through 4 and ELD reading in levels 1 and 2. And that is in all of our secondary schools. So tonight I will be talking a little bit about Get Ready and Get Reading from Vista, and then Lift from National Geographic, which is now part of Cengage. Go to the next slide. All right, Get Ready and Get Reading. So Get Ready is a program that we are really excited about because it is developed specifically for newcomers and beginner students. That's something that years ago, the last time we were looking at products, just simply didn't exist. So we are pleased that it is now on the market from multiple vendors, let alone, way more than just this particular product. But we are very excited about this particular product because it does a wonderful job with that, which is definitely a need for us here at North Penn. And so that'll be utilized in ELD1 English courses only. And Get Reading is more of a multi-level reading library that will now be in all of our secondary schools, that has a variety of books that are age appropriate for students who are learning to read in English. So that program is actually libraries that will be in each school, and that will be in ELD1 and ELD2. All right, and then over to Lift. So these Lift is a program to support multilingual learner students that are a little bit further along in their English language development journey. And that's focusing in on academic language, fiction and nonfiction, supporting students for academic speaking and writing, really bridging that gap from newcomer and beginner to our North Penn English program. So the resources that we're looking to adopt is Lift Fundamentals for ELD2 English, Lift Level 1 for ELD3 English, and then Lift 1 in level 3 English and LIFT level 2 in ELD 4 English. So I'm just going to pause in case we had any questions in regards to the English language development program, reading or English, before we move on to our AP social studies recommendations. Okay, happy to move on. All right, so AP United States history. So what our group decided on is Give Me Liberty, which is a title by Norton. At North Penn, we tend to love Norton and Bedford, Freeman, and Worth for a lot of our AP resources, so they are both going to get a lot of love tonight. And as I stated earlier, this is supported by College Board. It's endorsed on their list. And one of the wonderful things about this program, in addition to have it being updated, provides text and online options, and it is definitely a more integrative and inclusive approach to United States history, which is really important to us. And we can move along to AP Psychology, which is from Bedford, Freeman, and Worth, again, a well-known AP publisher. And we have selected Myers Psychology for the AP course. The AP Psychology course has just totally been redone. So we were very pleased that they were able to come up with the text to meet the new standards on par with College Board. And so on top of having the online resources that our teachers love to integrate with Canvas because they are so into it. So we were really pleased for that. And Dr. Hart has been fabulously collaborating with Dr. Landis to make that process a little bit smoother for some of these particular titles. So we are happy about that and have been having meetings in order to prepare for that. And that brings us to my last title, which is also Bedford, Freeman, and Worth, and that's for our AP Economics course, Krugman's Economics for the AP course. And again, updated framework. So we have an updated text with text and online resources with additional resources for the teachers, which they love. And so just to help our students prepare themselves for the course and also for the examination.
If we're pausing for questions, I'll just make a quick note that these are definitely the companies that the social studies AP curricula come from most often, and the most trusted names in these curricula. And I'm very glad to see that they're here. And I also know that we are, as an administrative team and board, are supportive of educators who are also looking outside just one textbook and looking into other realms to build the curricula. So really very happy with that as well. So thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. McBain. Well, I have no questions.
All right, so without any additional questions, the next step, would you like to move to summer programs, Mr. Fusco?
Yes.
All right, back to curriculum. Mary, if you could pull that presentation up.
You know what, we didn't vote to move that forward. We should probably do that first.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. And for
That's right, that's my fault. I'm trying to figure, is that informational? That was recommended. So
these are all recommended, everything we're doing from here on out. And this particular presentation, this would be actually recommended for May because the resources have to be out for the community should they want to review them.
So we'll start with the curriculum adoptions. Can I have a motion to move that to action, please?
So moved.
Second it. All in favor, say aye. All right, now let's move on to summer programs. That passes unanimously.
Great. Thank you so much. So once again, part of our tradition in the month of April is to provide an opportunity to present the summer programming that we have planned for this coming summer. We have a number of colleagues here this evening. And so we're going to start with Spark. Nina Fenstermaker is going to talk a little bit about that. And then we're just going to kind of roll through the summer programs. If there are any questions about any one of them, we can just kind of address those at the very end of each of the presentations. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Ms. Fenstermaker.
Thank you, Dr. Hart. Good evening. Thank you for having me tonight to share with you three really great reading programs or summer programs that we are offering at the elementary level. So the first program is our Spark. It's our summer program for academic readiness for nights. It's designed as a remedial reading program for students to master the essential skills of reading. The school day is about 2.5 hours, and we spend almost an hour and a half to close to 2 hours really focusing on the area of reading. We also have time for morning meeting, time to build community within the classroom, and then we do have about 30 minutes for foundational skills in math as well. There is no cost to our students to attend this program, and we are delighted that we are able to continue providing transportation to all of our families that would require that to participate this summer. This year, we will be holding that program at Knapp Elementary School, which is the same school we held the program at last year. It is a great facility. It worked out wonderfully for our program, and we're able to also collaborate with the ELD program to hold both of those programs under the same roof. And Rachel Early will go into the details of that program, but they'll both be held at Knapp Elementary School. You can see here on the slide the dates and times for this program, and this is an invitation-only program, and we are currently in the process of inviting eligible students to attend, and we're delighted to see that there's already a lot of registrations coming in. You can go ahead to the next slide. Our next program is the Elementary Virtual Enrichment Program. We initiated this program the year that we were in COVID, and it has been such a great success. We have just continued to enhance the program. This is available to all of our North Penn students, K through 6. We will be launching that registration portal this week. Parents can register for this program through their Infinite Campus portal for each of their children. And we also run this throughout the month of July. So it's a 4-week program. New content is published on the Canvas course every single Monday. And so it's completely asynchronous. Students are able to do this independently. We do encourage, through the support of their parents or through the support of someone at home, possibly, to help them if they have any questions. But if that's not possible, we also have North Penn Family Tech, who's available to support any questions that might come up throughout the program as well. Last year, we had about 1,000 students registered, so that was really exciting. And I also want to highlight, this is actually not on the slide, but highlight that the Educational Foundation has offered us a grant this year to purchase prizes and incentives for students to really engage in this program so that we can offer them prizes after they attend and complete a certain amount of activities. We've also gotten free prizes from outside community partners such as Chick-fil-A. They give us meal cards and things like that we can give out to students. And we also get books donated that we can also give to our students. So the program is really expanding, and we're trying to just make it as fun as possible. You can go to the next slide. And the final program that I'm going to share with you tonight is the Kindergarten Readiness Camp. I don't know how this year makes you all feel. It makes me feel old, but we will be welcoming our class of 2038 to kindergarten this year in North Penn, which is just so exciting. And for students who may need to have additional experiences prior to coming to kindergarten, we offer the Kindergarten Readiness Camp to give them those school readiness experiences, such as just really coming to school for the first time, leaving the people that they love the most behind as they come to engage in a school day. They have a tour on the bus. They eat lunch in the cafeteria every day. They circle up with their peers and their teacher, and they engage in school fun so that they can be most prepared to enter kindergarten with confidence and excitement. We do hold this program over 3 elementary schools. This year, they will be held at Hatfield, Oak Park, and Gwen Norr. We invite all students from all 13 of our buildings, but we region them into 3 schools just so that we can kind of control the environment and control the facilities as we're also trying to gear up for the start of the school year. So key components are right there on the slide, really those learning ready behaviors, school experiences, and we do not focus on any kindergarten standards. We're really looking to master any pre-K standards that we would want students to be successful with before they start the year in kindergarten, where they would get those kindergarten experiences. The dates are there. It's going to be held from July 28th to August 7th. It's just over 2 weeks, and students are with us from 9 to 1. And they are the 3 programs I'm going to share with you. We'll go ahead to the next slide. I don't know if you want to do questions for those now or if we'll wait to the end.
What do we have, 2 more? The ELD program in summer school from 9 to
Yeah.
12. We'll wait to the end. I just have
Okay.
a couple brief comments more than anything.
Okay, so as Nina shared, we coordinate the elementary ELD program and Spark. We are fortunate enough to have them both at Knapp Elementary this summer. And the elementary ELD program is a program that is Title III funded, and it's to reinforce and strengthen newly acquired English language skills for newcomer beginner students in our elementary grades. So one of the things that we do is just ensure that we coordinate our student lists who are invited with Spark, as well as our ESY program, just to make sure that we're really targeting students and coordinating that way. So the times, as you can see below, times and dates are exactly the same as Spark. We just have both programs running simultaneously with our teachers and our curriculum admin team, and last summer it worked out very well, and we're excited and pleased that we're able to bring it back. Our elementary ELD program, as I shared, is Title III funded, and we are able to use that funding to provide students with resources for the school day, and then some that they get to keep at home as well. And so last summer we had about 100 students and 8 teachers.
All right, and the final program that we're presenting about this evening is the Summer School Remediation Program, which does run both for our high school students and our middle school students. So this program looks very familiar, as it's been a popular program that's had a lot of success with our students and up to this point. The format is essentially similar to years past. What is it? It's a course remediation program. Speaking specifically for the high school, if a student has earned an E in a course, they would be eligible for this. So what does that exactly mean? Anywhere from a score of 60% to a 65, just under a 65%, a student would be eligible to engage in some relearning and remediation. It could be in English, social studies, science, mathematics, or health and PE. And really what this means is we're providing an opportunity for our students who have learned content, but just not to the degree that they're earning that credit. So it's giving that opportunity to re-engage in that relearning to earn that credit in the summer months. The program is quintessentially the same for the middle school students who would be eligible, but of course the difference would be that our middle school students are not earning credit towards a high school transcript, but it's still important that we are providing opportunities for our middle school students to engage in relearning to stay aligned with their learning progress. Some key components of the summer school remediation program is that it is high accessibility and high support. It is offered via our Edgenuity platform, which would allow students to access their learning both online and in person. So the program does run 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, with both the option for in-person support from our summer school teachers or online support if that is something that is more accessible or flexible for a student. Those hours are 8 to 11 during the week. We do house it on site here at North Penn High School, but again, also the program runs with the flexibility of students working on things asynchronously and touching base with teachers as needed. That program is a 5-week program. How it works is that first week is what we call a in-person prescriptive testing period, where students come in. We know that they've already taken a course and they're doing some remediation. So they're taking a test that assesses what their previous knowledge is And what the program does is it shapes and tailors it to our students' current understanding, and really customizes the content so it best personalizes that learning for the student. If a student does dip below 60%, this is going back to the idea of high accessibility but high support. We do require students to come into the building to work, one-on-one or in a small group with the teacher. And when it comes to support, we do offer supports in terms of teachers of special education and teachers of ESL background. So in a nutshell, it really comes back to this program. It's been a great opportunity for our students to re-engage in learning in a way that's high accessible and high support.
That's the end of the presentation. We'd be very happy to entertain any comments or questions.
Thank you. So going through each, the Spark program, we'll start with that. I'm wondering, you said it's invitation only. Do we cap those invitations? Like, is there a certain number, or is it just dependent on student need? You have to qualify strictly based on need?
Yeah, that's a great question. We do have to cap because we are restricted to the facility that we're working within. So we do hold this program just at one school over the summer. And so there's only a certain number of seats in classrooms that we're able to occupy. And so we we fill as many seats as we possibly can. And in some cases, we have multiple rounds of invitations to actually fill those seats up. So we do work really hard to make sure that we're reaching as far as we can to fill those seats.
So we don't run into situations where we have more need than seats. That's not something okay.
We don't run, our program is designed with a specific, target population, right?
Sure. So I think there's a couple of notes that I took here. I think the kindergarten program, the idea of focusing on those transition skills is extraordinarily important. I work in some kindergarten rooms, and it's a very time-consuming process, especially when you have only a handful of little guys that maybe aren't ready, but they certainly take a lot of attention from the teacher to get them ready. So I think that's good. I think it's great that you're stressing the pre-K standards, because we really want to be able to have everybody on that level playing field ready to go when the year starts. I think it's great that the ELD program is in the same building as the Spark program. For inclusive purposes, best practices with ELD is not to, have them completely segmented. There are times for that, but, I think it's great that they're in that same building. What else did I say? And then I'm curious with the 912, is that a option that students have as opposed to needing to repeat the following year? Like, is that kind of the main impetus of that programming?
Yes, that would be correct. So the idea is that if the student is giving the chance to remediate the credit, that means they've taken the course once during the school year, and then they've taken the remediation work to award them that credit if they meet those benchmarks. If a student, let's just say hypothetically, does not have success with that, they would be rescheduled into that course for the following school year. So it's not something that a student needs to do, but it is beneficial to them to stay aligned with their learning and aligned with graduation requirements and all of that. But it is a great opportunity to remediate. I think the whole spirit of it is that if a student is scoring somewhere between 60 and right below 65, they're not completely tanking a course. It's not like they didn't learn anything. They've learned a degree of learning, and really giving them that extra support, giving some extra opportunities to relearn, reassess their current understanding, and and earn that remediated credit.
Oh, that's interesting, because actually I think I missed that point. So if you had a 50%, this is actually not an option for you. You would have to repeat the courses that
correct.
Graduation.
I think actually, and I'll just chime in real quick. I think Mr. Boyd just misspoke there. It is between a 50 and a 64 is an E. So anything below a 50, you would have to retake the course. Okay. Between a 50 and a 64 is an E, which would be eligible for mediation in the summer.
Okay,
yes, Dr. Nicholson, thank you for catching that. 50 to 6, right below 65. I'm thinking in summer school, if a student does dip below 60, we do require them to come in. So that's the number that I was thinking of there.
I just want to make one last point about the ELD program. Now that I thought about it, I wrote it down. I think it's great that we offer it. You know, I think that one thing you want to make sure of when you're working with ELD students is a concern for regression. I mean, there is a difference between social language and curriculum language, and we kind of confuse the two often when you don't understand those programs. So to be able to keep them engaged in a program that's emphasizing that curriculum, vocabulary, and learning, I think is definitely a huge benefit to the kids in this district, and I appreciate that we offer that program. Thank you.
And I have no comments there, Mr. Chair.
All righty then, we can move along then to what, student travel? Is that
Actually, we'll move to Pennsylvania Seal of Biliteracy, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's perfect. Actually, let's take the vote once again.
Oh, right. We keep doing that.
I'm a little out of practice at chairing meetings. I don't do it so much anymore. All right, can I have a motion to move the summer programs to action, please?
So moved.
I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. Aye, that is unanimous. Moves to action. Thank you. All right. Closure.
Okay. Yesterday was Mrs. Early's birthday, so happy birthday, Rachel, and we'll move into your
Happy
third
birthday,
and
Rachel.
final presentation of the night.
Thank you, Dr. Waters. And I'm back again and happy to talk about the Pennsylvania Seal of Biliteracy. And just, this was definitely a group effort that many of our team members on this call participated in. So just very appreciative to everyone and excited to talk about this opportunity for a lot of our students. All right, so what is the Pennsylvania Seal of Biliteracy? It is an award presented by a school entity like North Penn in recognition of students who have attained intermediate to high proficiency in both English and one more additional language upon high school graduation. So that's what it is, but we have a few different ways that we can get there. So throughout this year, we've had a committee that I will introduce in a little bit, made up of different stakeholders to talk about our plan at North Penn and how we were going to make that a reality. And of course, the final step is board approval. So that is why we're here tonight. All right, so here's our fabulous committee members. You can see we had a wide variety of stakeholders, Dr. Hart, myself, Lauren Mitchner, who's our secondary ELD department chair, Liz Weiser, our English department chair, Brittany Akis, our world language department chair, Mr. Boy, who's on tonight, Yoshimi Ware, who was our parent to provide a very important perspective, Jessie Clancy, who's one of our guidance counselors, and Andrea Wychonsky, who's our German teacher and middle school department chair. So we're just very thankful for all these individuals for giving up their time to really think through all of the components to make this a reality. So what's very cool about the PA Seal of Biliteracy is it serves three important student groups. So one are bilingual students, two are multilingual learner students who are in our English language development program, and three are students who are taking advantage of our world language program. So I have links in there just for time's sake. We won't go through all of them, but the plan does include our purpose and rationale that I overviewed at the beginning of this presentation, an application process for students, and then portfolio components that offers a lot of different options. And we decided the best way for everyone to gain a good understanding is to just give options of the three different profiles of students and three different routes that they could utilize in order to achieve the Seal of Biliteracy. So if you want to go to the next slide, we can kind of walk through those. So one of our multilingual learner students who's in our ELD program, they could reclassify from the ELD program to demonstrate proficiency in English, and then they may have transcripts from another country with 3 years of instruction in their home language. So this is just one pathway for our multilingual learner student. And then for our world language student, they could illustrate proficiency by having grades B or better in all of their world language courses, and then also being proficient on their Keystone Literature exam. Again, there's multiple ways they could illustrate each. It's just one example. And then we do have some students, particularly in North Penn, that are bilingual, and they speak a language that may not be one of the 6 that we offer at North Penn, like Mandarin or Russian. So those students can also receive the Seal of Biliteracy, and they can do so by taking an ACTFL assessment, demonstrating proficiency, and then being proficient on their Keystone Literature. So once students have completed these tasks, and again, there's multiple pathways, they can complete the application and then they can be awarded the seal of biliteracy on their diploma, which is really great because they can utilize it as part of an application for employment. You know, it's very, particularly in this day and age, it makes you very marketable to be bilingual or having the seal of biliteracy. And so that's one particular avenue, or for schools or things of that nature. So we're hoping to make this not only a seal on their diploma, but have it be part of the award ceremony at the end of the year that we do each year. So as long as we get approval, then we'll move forward with the communication plan with our different stakeholders to let our students know that this is a new opportunity that they can work on next year. And we're hoping to have a group of students next year who are receiving this at the end of 2026 and then have it grow from there. All right. Any questions?
It's going to extend my thank you to the committee members for doing this. I think it's fabulous. I think it's a great addition to a diploma. I think you're absolutely right that it is something that should be attractive to schools or employers to see that, you know, if somebody's proficient in multiple languages. You know, and I love that the bilingual piece is part of it too, like recognizing that it might not be a language that we offer, but that it still is an impressive skill, and that, you know, we've taken steps to include those students as well. So thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, I'll mirror those comments. I love the idea of an outside authority validating what our students can do. And we're not the first one to have this in Pennsylvania for sure, but we're right there, you know, helping and finding new ways for students to get that recognition. So well done.
All right, and we are going to need a vote to move this to action. So can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
I will second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Rachel, I hope you didn't spend your entire birthday putting these presentations together. Hope we did the night before, the night before that. But wonderful job from the whole curriculum team tonight. Thank you.
All right. I think the last thing we just need to do is student travel. So curriculum friends, if you want to jump off, you're welcome to. Thank you all very, very much for your time tonight. Great job as always. All right. Thank
Terrific
you.
job, everyone. Thank you.
Yes.
Go enjoy the rest of your night.
All right. So the last item is student travel, and surprisingly, we just have one item, and that is to recommend approval for 15 North Penn High School Science Olympiad students and 2 staff members to attend the Science Olympiad Invitational event in good old Altoona, PA, April 25th through the 26th. The cost to the district is about $1,060 for transportation, and the cost of the trip is about $3,760. Again, we have a plan for anyone experiencing hardship.
Okay, that looks good to me. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second, in favor, say aye. Aye, raise your hand. All right, student travel passes. Fabulous.
Great. Thank you.
And that's it for our items recommended for work session.
That is
All right,
everything.
Mr. McBain, do you have any additional topics for the committee this evening?
Just another thank you to everybody spending their time with us on a lovely April afternoon.
All right, and Mary, do we have anyone in the audience for public comment?
My vision's terrible. We do not.
We do not. How about that? All right, then, in that case, the items that we are going to move forward for our action meeting are our Digital Science Resource Tool RFP, our Library Management System RFP, student travel, curriculum adoptions, summer programs, and the Pennsylvania Seal of Biliteracy. Our next ECI meeting will be scheduled for May 13th, Tuesday at 5:30 in virtual format. And if no one has anything further for the committee, then I will motion to adjourn. So, all right, everybody, have a great night. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a great
you.
night.
Good night.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Happy
Thanks,
birthday.
Gary.
Oh, we missed her. Happy birthday anyway.
And yeah, I wish.